Well, welcome to Chapter 8, Examining the Project Object. And what we're going to be discussing here is the project object and the many uses that we have for it. If you remember in previous videos, I talked about two things, the project object and the technical soil service object being management tools that we have in the database. And these are the ones that we use to be able to record a lot of information on how we manage our data, be it a TSS activity or a soil survey or an update of a particular pieces of soil surveys. So let's go into the project table, and you'll see in NASIS 6.3 that we've got a new column. It's called User Project ID. And there'll be some more information later down the road on how we're going to populate this field. But suffice it to say, it'll be similar to the user pet on ID and user site ID. And it's used to be able to provide you a sequencing of your projects. And then we have the project name and the description and approved. Now the first thing you'll notice is that the three of those four are bold and italic, meaning they are required fields. User project ID, project name, and approved are required for the project table. I'm going to go ahead and minimize my Explorer panel and minimize my Messages panel so we can take a look at this a little clearer. We'll try to do a best fit on all columns. I didn't think it was going to work, but I tried. Alright, the next banner that you're going to see is the MLRA Soil Survey Office area, and this banner is used for any project that is an update project, SDJR, MLRA, and these two fields are the Soil Survey Office symbol and the name of the Soil Survey Office. Now, for those traditional soil surveys that we have, be it an initial or possibly an update or extensive revision, we have the non-MLRA soil survey area, and that also includes the symbol and the area name. This is populated only for those traditional soil surveys. We have the state responsible, and in the historical or traditional surveys, that state responsible will be the location in which the soil survey office resided. However, in the update process, if you're doing an SDJR and MLRA, anything from fiscal year 14 and on, the state responsible will be the state in which the regional office resides. So it might be Indiana or Texas or Colorado. Whatever that regional office resides is where you'll populate the state responsible. Now the remaining fields in this table: English edits, compilation, digital map finishing, map finish, Surgo initiative, digitizing funding year, and digitizing unit, are all the columns identified for traditional survey. And that's a legacy that's carried over, and for the most part you won't be using those for updates. So let's try to give you an understanding between what I mean when I say traditional soil surveys and what I mean by update soil survey use. So what I'm going to do in here, I'm going to come over to my queries and we're going to load up some data. And I've got a query here by non-MLRA soil survey area. I'm going to run this against the national database. I'm going to select the project. You'll notice that by default it selects all the associated set of data with that particular project. I'm going to type in KS169. I'm not going to be concerned about the map units. I want all the map units, and I'm not really going to be concerned about the rep DMUs. By default, this query, when run against the national database, these two parameters, and you'll find this in almost every single query run against the national database, the vast majority of your parameters are not even affected by a national query. They only come into play when you're running a local query. Now you'll notice that we downloaded one project, 91 map units and 64 data map units, 6 sites and 6 pet-ons. And as always, the local database opens up after a national query is run, and you'll notice that it is identified as national data. I'm going to go ahead and accept this and bring this into my local database. And now that it is local, I'm going to rerun the query. And notice now that as it's run against the local database, I'll be able to type in the area, project map unit, data map unit. This happens to be the only set of data that I have in my local database, but I'm going to go ahead and run it as though I have multiple sets of data. And now this time, these two parameters will function if I wanted to put in, as it says here, Lancaster, Silt Loam, Star, and just pull in those. But this particular one, I want to show you everything that comes in, so I'm going to run this. And here I have the one area, 91 project map units, 91 map units, and 48 data map units. So I'm going to say yes. I want to come over here to the project table, open it up, and you'll now see that I've got a set of data. I'm going to once again do a best fit all columns. You got to remember I'm running a beta version of NASIS 6.3, so a few things didn't quite work out. By default, the user site ID on all of our data is populated because it is a required field. We chose to populate it with the record ID for that particular record. So you'll see that on all of the projects that you have converted over into NASIS 6.3. The name of this particular project is Saline County, Kansas, and you'll notice that it's hyphenated with the status of the legend. So this is a published one. This is the published legend. Notice that approved is not marked. Historically, none of the traditionals were approved or not approved, and so by default it is not approved, but don't let that get in your way. Notice that it is assigned to an MLRA Soil Survey office, and the actual name is KS169 Saline County, Kansas. Now, side note on this that you need to be aware of is both of these banners, the MLRA Soil Survey Office and non-MLRA Soil Survey Office, go to the area table and the area type table. And they go to the area type table to look up the MLRA Soil Survey Office, and then identify in the area table 5-SAL. And then once again, a second time, it goes over to the area type table to pull in the non-MLRA Soil Survey areas, and once again pulls in that area symbol and that area name for this particular project. And then, of course, I explained to you that Kansas responsible. The historical was the state in which it resided, and in FY14 and beyond, it's going to be the state in which the regional office is residing. And as I scroll across, you can see some of the information that's legacy for that particular survey area. Now, once again, I'll go back over here, and I'll open up the child tables, and you'll notice that there are several. And this particular one is the project map unit table. And in the project map unit table, we're pulling from the banner, being map unit, we're pulling the national map unit symbol, map unit name, and map unit type from the map unit table. Sequence number, once again, is developed for an override. I'm going to remove it. And you'll notice that nobody has touched this particular set of records. Here is the correlation, project data needs. Project ecological site is a new table for the project object in NASIS 6.3. We'll discuss this later. Here are the field reviews, the land category breakdowns, the mapping goals, the project milestones, the project product is a traditional bound converted from 3SD, the staff, and then any text notes. Now, on some of the older traditional soil surveys, you would have seen that all of those tables would have been populated with all the correlation information that was available. So this is going to end the first part 1 video of Chapter 8, examining the project object. What I wanted to do here is cover the traditional soil surveys, and in the next video I'll go into some of the more modern projects that we use for and how we manage these projects in the project object.